Vortex Defender ST, which for some odd reason I keep wanting to refer to as the SD. Whatever. Look, I've been going back and forth on whether or not I was actually going to record this video because essentially I don't have a lot of great things to say about this optic. And when that's the case, a lot of times people just take it as me dumping all over the company versus the product that I'm actually reviewing. Now, nothing could be further from the case. I like Vortex. I own several of their optics. I've used them for a long time, regularly. And in fact, here I have the KS47 by Palmetto State Armory. Mounted that, I have the Vortex Strike Eagle LPVO. The popularity of LPVOs has gone through the roof over the course of the last 4 or 5 years or so. And anybody that knows anything about these knows they generally come with a hefty price tag. For those of you who aren't quite sure if you want to get into that particular style of optic, this can be a great option for you. This is essentially where Vortex really shines, is magnified optics that come in at an extremely reasonable price. Now, are they top tier? No. Are they bottom tier? No. But if you buy one of these magnified optics from Vortex, you can rest assured you're going to get a good quality optic that's going to last you a long time, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg like some of the other companies. Before we get too deep into this, let's get into some disclosure. I did not buy this Defender ST. I didn't head down to North Sound and see my boys and pick this up off the shelf. I didn't hop on to Brownells or Optics Planet and use that 360 TS promo and order one. This was actually pre-installed and sent out to me by Springfield with this Springfield Echelon Compact influencer bundle, which I hate the term influencer. I bring that up because a lot of people are talking in recent months about cherry picking. What that boils down to is people have this belief that when a company sends a product out to somebody like myself, they send old Frank or Steve or something out to the warehouse to go through boxes and find the absolute best representation of that product and send that to us. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen in this industry. It does, but not at the frequency at which most people think that it happens. It's a logistical nightmare to do that. Anybody that's seen this compact echelon knows that Springfield sent out a ton of these. You know, they basically got on the phone with Vortex and said, hey, we're going to give a bunch of these guns away. Can you ship us X number of units? And, you know, Vortex packed up a pallet and sent it out. Springfield got those optics, they mounted them up, and they sent them out to various people across the country. I got mine. It wasn't even really zeroed. I took it out and I did a rough zero in it. I didn't really tighten that zero up too much because basically from the moment I picked it up, I knew that this optic was not going to stay on this gun. Things like this get sent out to people on this side of the screen, and it is solely up to us to decide what we are and are not going to say about them. On your side of the screen, it's totally up to you to decide if you trust that the person on this side of the screen is giving you the most fair, open, and honest evaluation of that product, or if they're trying to maintain and build a relationship with a company that they plan on doing further business with later on. Basically, take everything that you see on the internet with a grain of salt. So let's get started with the Vortex Defender ST and the list of positives. It's a short list, but before we do that, excuse the lighting situation out here. Obviously, there's snow on the ground. It's snowing. The sun keeps going in and out. Doing my best here. First, let's talk about the window size. It is a fairly big window. Now, the Echelon Compact, as I've said in a recent video, is kind of a do-it-all gun. It can be used for duty use as well as carry use. And in that particular use case situation, the size of your optic is important. Sure, I could put something massive on here like an SRO or, you know, Holosun 507 comp, but that could potentially inhibit the ability to carry this gun concealed. So the size of this window, I feel like, is pretty much perfect for kind of a do-it-all type gun like this. The other thing is the glass is extremely clear, it's clean. I'm not noticing any weird distortion in the glass around the outside like I have with other, you know, cheaper type optics that have been sent to me. That's a definite plus. Next on the list is the build quality. Build quality, I feel, is top notch. Again, important for a gun that you plan on doing conceal carry with, or potentially duty carry. If you're going to carry this optic, you want to make sure that it's going to last. Now, I don't do any drop testing with optics here on the channel. I don't have the budget for it, and honestly, I'm not interested in dropping my guns on the cement or rocks or whatever and damaging them. I am, however, totally confident that the optic body on here is going to last. The biggest positive that I can say for the Defender ST is this texture on the front of the optic body. And I know this is going to be controversial. A lot of people are going to be upset about this, but my guns that have optics, I almost exclusively manipulate the slide from the optic body. And I know the argument. You're going to throw off the zero, you know, your screws are going to come loose, you're going to have issues, blah, blah, blah. I don't see it like that. I have come to really trust the optics mounting platform for the Echelon series through my testing. It's stable, it's sturdy. I haven't had any worries about losing zero or having any problems, even though I exclusively manipulate the slide from the optic body. Here's the reality. When a gun fails, it's going to fail at the worst possible time under the worst possible conditions. When you need that gun, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. You need to test and trust not only your optic mounting platform, but also the optic that you're using in a situation where you may have to do a one-handed manipulation, whether that is off of your boot or a tabletop or, I don't know, a broken window or whatever the case may be to manipulate this slide. Having that texture on the front means that you aren't going to slip or lose your grip. I can go ahead and manipulate it. My hand's not going to slide off of there because it's got that texture. If I have a hand or arm that is injured and I need to go ahead and rack that slide on something, it's going to be secure. This is an addition that I really appreciate that Vortex put on this optic, and I'm actually surprised that more companies aren't doing something with some texture on the front. The first thing on my list of items that I don't like on this optic is that it is a top-loading battery. So it comes with this like 90-degree Phillips head style tool to get down in there because it's real hard to reach with a screwdriver. I have since lost that tool. In my range bag, I carry a 90-degree Phillips style tool that's actually made for tightening and adjusting snowboard bindings. So if I ever do need to change this battery out, that's what I would end up using. I'm not a big fan of the top mount batteries. Now I understand the argument that with a top mount battery, you're getting a lower profile, it is closer to the slide, you're getting better co-witness, your height over bore ratio is better, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. One of my gripes there is that these batteries, because of the terminals, are essentially spring loaded. So you have to get that cap on there just right, put some pressure on it, start to thread it, hope that it's not cross-threaded, and then tighten it down. If you aren't really careful, what you're going to do is ruin the threads, not only on the cap, but on the optic side as well, because it's aluminum, the threads are fine, it is a possibility of happening. And that's not just with the Defender, that's all top-loading batteries, regardless if it's an SRO or this or any number of others out there. Never been a fan, never will be a fan. I would much prefer a side-loading battery where it sits, where the optic sits a little bit higher than having a top load. Something that Vortex did not add to the Defender is a auto adjust for brightness, which I'm not really mad at, but I do have to point it out. Personally, for my vision, it is easier for me to see a dot that is just slightly brighter than what any of the auto adjust functions out there will set the dot at. I realize that's not going to be the case for everybody, but that's just something that I've encountered with all auto adjust features. Maybe that's why they didn't add that on here. I really couldn't say. The emitter really isn't great, and I don't have it narrowed down as to whether or not it's the emitter or the protective shield in front of the emitter. I can't really tell, but it displays a weird 3D, almost holographic halo all through the lens at higher brightnesses. This emitter issue is my biggest problem with this optic, and I haven't seen anybody else mention it, which I feel is kind of weird. Remember earlier when I talked about disclosures? The day that I went down to do the paperwork on this gun, I kind of tested it in the store a little bit, and I noticed this issue. So Springfield sent me contact information for Vortex. I immediately emailed them, told them what was going on, asked them, like, is this normal? Do I have a defective unit? Do I need to send it back to you guys to look at? What's the deal? Through a couple of emails with them back and forth, essentially what they said is, I have the dot brightness turned up too high for my conditions. Step it down a couple of notches and everything will be just fine. So I let it go. I went ahead and picked the gun up 10 days later because I'm in a communist state. Jesus, it's slippery out here. I'm in a communist state and I have a 10-day waiting period. So through my testing process, I have used it in overcast, sunshine, snow. I have used it in the rain. I've used it in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Always the same. When that dot gets turned up to a certain level, it looks like crap. It's distracting and it's hard to see the dot. Mind you, I've been sent optics from no-name cheap Chinese companies that are like $99 optics that I never did a review on because they were that bad, and none of those had that issue. But Vortex told me that this is normal and that it's just turned up too brightly. So that's kind of the point of today. I have brought with me a number of guns and optics. I have some from C&H Precision. I have a couple from Siley. I have a handful of, let's see, Hollow Suns. These guys are out here enjoying the snow. What else do I have? Oh, I got a Delta Point Pro in there. I got a whole bunch of things. And what I'm going to do is try my best to get this on camera. We're going to turn them up all the way and then dial them back and just kind of compare how each of them does on their brightest setting to see if any of these other companies have the same problem that I'm finding with the Vortex. Now, the first thing that I did when I came up here was kind of try to simulate it, unfortunately, with the snow conditions. Without having like a real background, I can't really, my camera doesn't want to pick it up. So I will get that B-roll probably back at the house, but I'll go ahead and do the testing manually here and then record back at home and then overlay that stuff. So we'll start with the Defender ST. I have this currently on its highest setting, and I can see a clear and defined rounded edged circle all the way around the outside of the optic. That's on its highest setting. Take it down one. It's still there. I've got a black background behind here, so that's kind of helping. Two, that's not bad. We'll see how that looks though when I'm not in the snow. Next, let's go ahead and go with, this one. Hollow Sun 507 Comp. This is one of my favorite large optic red dots. Now, I currently have this on its highest setting, black background, and there is nothing. I'm going to tell you right now, every single one of my red dots is poorly maintained. I'm a little bit lazy with certain things. I really need to get in there with a Q-tip and clean off that. You know, they have a little protective layer in front of the actual emitter. Most of mine have water spots. I live in the Pacific Northwest and it's raining constantly when I'm out here shooting. The rain dries, it leaves spots. So I see that a lot, but that has nothing to do with the emitter or the cover. That's just me not maintaining my stuff like I know I'm supposed to. So highest setting, I've got nothing. It looks beautiful, crisp, clear. We'll go down one. same thing, same thing, same thing. 507 comp, good to go. Next, let's stick with Holosun. This one, I think is locked because this is my carry gun. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this one's actually damaged. This one's been put through some abuse. This is the 407K. It has the 6 MOA dot, and I would think because of the larger dot, if any of these red dots is going to show that same issue, that it would be this one. So I currently have it on its brightest setting, and other than a couple water spots, it's perfect. I'm not seeing any weird blooming. There's no halo effect. No, nothing. It looks great. Not even going to turn it down. Kind of pisses me off. The glass is chipped, but whatever. I just take the gloves off. I can't manipulate these optics with those gloves. So next we're going to look at this one, the 507C. I have several of these. This one I have on its brightest setting, and that glass is dirty. But on its brightest setting, I have no weird distortion. This is perfect. No issues at all. On the snow or the black background, everything looks good. Not a problem with that guy. Next, we're going to look at a couple optics from C&H Precision. Now, C&H makes some pretty budget-friendly optics and adapter plates. I use their adapter plates on basically all my guns that need them. 360 TS at C&H. This is their competition optic right here. This one actually is going to go on my full-size echelon pretty soon. I got this bad boy on high, and you know what? Nothing. I can see the dot crystal clear. There's no weird halo around it. Other than having a dirty optic, it looks great. The next one, this is one of their newest. This is their enclosed EDC, and I've got that on the Hellcat Pro Comp. I'm actually really enjoying this red dot. I think it's working out really well. Again, let's go ahead and crank that sucker up. All right, so that one's all the way up, and it's perfect. It's crystal clear. It's clean. I'm not seeing any reflection of that protective whatever in front of the emitter. Of course, it's an enclosed optic, so probably going to experience that less, but I do have a third C&H optic. That is a direct mount for the M&P Core series. I didn't bring that one out because I ran out of bags to carry guns, but that one I tested at home, and it's the same thing. It's a circle dot optic, and it is perfect. There are no issues at its highest setting, just like this one. I forgot this one was in the bag. Holosun EPS carry mounted to the LFA Apollo 11. That one currently up all the way. Jesus, that thing is dirty. But again, I'm not seeing any weirdness. I see a little bit of reflection off of, you know, the corners of the glass, but it's not the same thing as what I'm experiencing with the Vortex. You got the good old Delta Point Pro. Honestly, I hate the adjustment system on this. The one button, click it all the way up, click it back down. I don't like that system, but it is crisp and clear, dirty window. But it's turned up all the way right now, and I'm not seeing any strange distortion at all. This is the kind of optic that you're going to be able to pull out and use in any condition at any brightness and not have any problems. Now here's where I expected to run into some issues. I have two optics from Siley. Siley, you know, a lot of content creators have made content with their optics, and they are dirt cheap. They're manufactured in China. They are actually good optics, but you would expect that if you're going to have an issue with anything, it would be one of these. This is the Bull Pro, and it is a massive competition style optic. Again, all the way up. No issues at all. My second Siley optic is the Cat X Pro. This one's a little bit more expensive, but it is a reasonably good quality optic. This is the only one that I found that does similar things that Vortex does. Now I have this up on as high as it'll go, and even though it's as high as it'll go, I'm only seeing like a small square of that reflective halo around the dot. I'll probably be able to see that a little bit better when I get to the house and do a little bit of camera work there, but it is there. I'll go ahead and step that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's weird. When I get down 8 notches, this one actually goes, I can see a square. I cannot really see the dot, but I can see an imprint of a dot with a circle around it, like a multi-reticle hollow sun like this 507C. Now, the reticle on this bad boy is a simple dot when you turn it up, but when you turn it down, it's almost like there is a circle dot etched into the actual emitter cover. So that's one problem that I have with this one. Honestly, it was really cheap and it's on a Taurus GX4 carry, so I'm not really too concerned about that. The last optic on my list that I brought out here with me today is the Olight O-Sight, and currently that is attached to my full-size Echelon, soon to be replaced with this C&H competition optic. Now, Olights aren't that good. I own several of their handheld flashlights that I keep in my vehicles for emergency use. Past that, I don't rely on their weapon-mounted lights at all. This is my least favorite optic out of everything that I have. I have nothing but problems with this optic. This is actually the third one that I've had as a warranty replacement. For everything that I don't like about this thing, currently it is on its highest setting, and with the black background, again, that glass is really dirty. There's no weird reflection. There's no halo. There's no like 3D weird crap going on. It's just a dot. Now the dot isn't the most crisp or clear, but that emitter or the emitter cover isn't producing any weird reflection on the glass, which is surprising considering the low quality of product that Olight puts out. So I came all the way out here in the snow today to film this video because a lot of people are buying the Vortex Defender optics and putting on their guns right now. I'm seeing a lot of it on the internet, and not everybody has like a huge sample size of optics that they've tested, and a lot of people don't necessarily know what to look for in an optic when they buy it. People are buying these things and they mount them, they zero them, and they just think this thing works great because they don't really have that experience. Now, not only do I have all of these, but I have 2 RMRs at the house. I have multiple other hollow suns. I have a lot of different red dots for rifles. Like, I have a lot of this style of optic. And so far, that Defender ST is the worst that I've encountered. I'm not necessarily saying that they're all going to be like this. I'm saying this is something that you should keep an eye out for. And at this point, I think that there are better optics on the market in that same price range that are going to give you a better product overall. It's just that when I'm scrolling through different forums and Reddit and Facebook and all of these different YouTube channels, and I'm seeing people with the Vortex Defender ST talking about how amazing it is, it's really not. It has some drawbacks. It needs some work. And I have no doubt that future iterations of that optic will be better. But for right now, it should still be in a beta test mode. It shouldn't be being tested on consumers. Whether any of this helps you know what to look out for in an optic, or helps you make a decision on what you want to put on your gun or your next project or whatever, I don't know, but I hope it does. I hope that Vortex takes the constructive criticism and updates and upgrades the Defender ST and turns it into a better product, because I really do think that it has a lot of potential there. It just, right now, it still needs some work. Basically, that's all I've got for you today. It's cold out here. I'm going to get out of here, go home, and kind of relax the rest of the weekend. And as always, I'll see you back here real soon.